Grand touring cars are a great product and one with a pretty simple formula. You've got a big powerful engine in the front, two comfortable seats in the middle, and some level of modern technology to keep you entertained when the roads get congested or the police are nearby. And there's one manufacturer, whom I will not name, that has recently come out with a new version of their Grand touring car. And I think it's quite good. This is it, the all-new Maserati Gran Turismo Trofeo, an Italian symphony of carbon fiber, contemporary design, and side gills. A car designed and manufactured entirely in Italy with a single project guideline: zero compromise. What Maserati wanted to do was create the perfect GT car, and they should be the ones to do it because, after all, back in 1947, the brand invented the Grand touring car with the release of the A6 1500 Gran Turismo. But we're in 2023, and I want to talk about this 2024 Maserati Gran Turismo. So in today's video, I'll take you through its design and performance. We'll take it for a quick first impressions road test and end by assigning it some CarCave credits. The exterior design is familiar to the last generation with some welcomed modern touches. The headlights, borrowed from the MC20, follow the brand's new lighting signature, as do the new taillights inspired by the boomerang design of the previous generation, but not enough to compromise their modern appeal. There are other familiar touches. The iconic Maserati gills remain on the front quarter panels to help with underwater breathing, and the overall proportions compared to the last gen are the same. The exterior styling is not too loud, it's not over-designed, which is a good thing on a Grand touring car. You don't want to draw too much attention in a car like this. That's what supercars are for. Now, I have read some criticism on the new Gran Turismo for being too similar in style to the previous generation, but I don't really agree with that. I appreciate that they're following the same design ethos. I really like that Porsche does that with the 911, and I see no reason why Maserati shouldn't be able to do the same thing with the Gran Turismo. But in any event, you have staggered wheels on this car, 20 inches in the front, 21 inches in the rear. Now this is the Trofeo trim. Compared to the Modena, you're gonna have a different front splitter that's a little bit more performance oriented, different side skirts which are carbon fiber. You've got a little carbon fiber piece on the rear bumper which is also slightly redesigned. There is a carbon fiber lip spoiler on the trunk lid, but that's an optional extra. One thing to give the Trofeo a bit more of a sleek appearance, you'll notice that all of the trim, like this trim around the windows, is blacked out where it would otherwise be chrome. The interior is where you're going to spend most of your time, and that's a good thing because I love the interior of this Gran Turismo. It's very similar to that of the Grecale Trofeo, which I did a video of not too long ago. I'm very impressed with the direction that Maserati is taking in their interior design. So, the basic layout. There's not too many physical buttons in this car, apart from your gear selection buttons, which are nicely integrated into the dash between your two infotainment screens. The bottom, an 8.8-inch screen, will control all of your climate control, your comfort settings, your seats, headlights, your clock. All of that is going to be the bottom screen. The top screen, 12.3-inch, will control pretty much everything else. Your media, your music, your GPS, that sort of thing. Your gauge cluster is a screen, 12.2 inches, and you can change the style, the aesthetic of that to your liking. There are a couple of different options. The steering wheel is an all-new design for the Gran Turismo. You've got your little mode selection dial. You have Comfort, GT, Sport, and Corsa. Corsa mode is going to stiffen your suspension, lower your ride height, make your throttle response, engine response, and your gearbox much more performance oriented, as well as change your gauge cluster to a more performance oriented display. Your start and stop button is blue on this car because it is the Trofeo. It's different colors on other trims. And the paddle shifters feel lovely, like they're all milled out of a single piece of aluminum. Very nice. Seats on this car are very comfortable, very supportive. I'm 6'2". I fit in the car with plenty of headroom, which is a relief. And I love the style of these seats. They look very good. The leather feels very premium, as it should. This isn't a cheap car by any means, but we'll talk price in just a moment. And something that I haven't noticed, and maybe it's just because I haven't noticed it, but with other GT cars, they have these little half seats in the rear, probably because they're not really expecting people to sit back there. But Maserati has integrated full seats for the rear seats. There's still not that much legroom back there, so I would have to remove the bottom portion of my legs if I wanted to sit back there, but I do appreciate them putting full seats in there. It really gives a more consistent appeal to the interior. There are currently 2 petrol-powered personalities of the Gran Turismo and an electric cousin on the horizon. The Modena and Trofeo burn fossil fuels with different power outputs and, according to Maserati, different goals. I have a description from Maserati's website as to who either trim is for, so I'll read that to you now. The Modena is for dynamic, elegant people, so not me, who are always on the move and want to enjoy the pleasures of life. While the Trofeo is suited to enthusiasts for sports and adrenaline-fueled performance based on a high-performance engine paired with an elegant silhouette. I want to focus on that high-performance bit now because this Gran Turismo borrows the 3-liter twin-turbocharged V6 from the MC20 with a couple of changes. Here, it's detuned to 550 brake horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque for the Trofeo trim. But all Gran Turismos are all-wheel drive, and the Trofeo will do 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. The MC20 has a dry sump, but the Gran Turismo has a wet sump. And it also offers something that Maserati calls cylinder deactivation. So in certain conditions, the right bank of that V6 will deactivate itself for better fuel efficiency, which is a useful feature on a Grand Touring car. The new Gran Turismo was designed to be light, being comprised of 65% aluminum. It weighs in at 4,072 pounds, making it lighter than both the new Aston Martin DB12 and the Bentley Continental GT. And it's not just lighter, it's a good bit, well, I was going to say cheaper, but let's just say less expensive than those two as well, with a starting MSRP of $205,000 for the Trofeo trim. Now I'll flash up a quick comparison chart of how this stacks up against the competition, and after that, we'll take it out for a quick first impressions road test. Now I have the car right now in Corsa mode. Oh, it feels very good. It does feel very good. I like the exhaust notes that this car delivers. You can switch it over to manual mode just by hitting the drive button a second time. In Corsa mode, the downshifts are immediate, and that exhaust does sound really quite well. 3,000 RPM, put your foot barely touching the throttle and the car really launches forward. It feels more like a sports car than a Grand Touring car to me, but that could just be because this is a Trofeo and I'm driving it in Corsa mode. So if I switch it over to comfort mode, put it back into auto, and just kind of drive the car normally, everything quiets down. The brake pedal becomes less jittery, less immediate in its response, not to the point of being sluggish, but just not quite as sharp, which is probably a good thing. So it's less jerky as you're driving about. As far as everything else about the car, it's just a comfortable car to drive in. It feels very luxurious. Everything that you actually touch is a very nice and premium material. I'm not usually a fan of touchscreen devices to control things like climate control, but the layout of the controls in this car is very intuitive. The touchscreens are very responsive. There's no delay. It's not like I feel like I have to really mash on the screen to get it to work. I've only been in the car for, what, 5 minutes, and I already feel very used to everything and very comfortable. That is a very important thing in a Grand Touring car. You don't want it to be too complicated, and in this car, it's not. Despite the fact that it's covered in screens and everything is touchscreen, it feels very conventional and very easy to use. I feel like Grand Touring cars, as you get older, are the cars that you actually want to own. Supercars are so cool to have, and they've got these striking body lines and crazy loud exhaust, and it's a very dynamic driving experience, but to live with a supercar isn't something you really want to do necessarily. Obviously, it depends on the supercar. But in Grand Touring cars, I feel like they're cars that you can use, and because you can use them, you can enjoy them much more often than in a supercar. And with this new Gran Turismo and its more subtle exterior styling, it's a little bit understated, and I think for that reason it's a little bit underappreciated, and it shouldn't be, because it lets you have really supercar levels of performance every single day. It's really good at maintaining a balance between the extremes. And what I mean by that is, in comfort mode, it's a very comfortable car, just like you would expect from any luxury car. Not just luxury performance, luxury car in general. And then when you go to the other end of the spectrum, in Corsa mode, it feels just as lively, just as exciting, just as fun to drive as any other Italian sports car or supercar. And in between, GT and sport mode give you a little bit less in either direction. That's not an easy thing to accomplish. And for a car that weighs just over 4,000 pounds, in Corsa mode, it feels light, it feels alive. And these paddle shifters are fantastic. The responsiveness is brilliant. This is not an easy car to make. And I think that because of the way that it performs, because of the way that it delivers, it answers for its price point. I really do think that it does. Finally, the CarCave credits. This is my way of summarizing my final thoughts on a car in 4 different categories. For collectability, I would give a 3 out of 10. This is not a limited car by any means, save the Prima Serie edition, and though the Gran Turismo of past generations have started to come up slightly, it still can't really hold a light to some other options on the market. For daily drivability, I would give a 4 out of 10. The seats are comfortable, the ride height offers decent clearance, and there's plenty of tech. Unfortunately, the rear seats are more of a luxury shelf than anything, and the storage space might be a bit of a challenge for daily use. For trackworthiness, I would give a 4 out of 10. At the end of the day, it is an all-rounder and a great GT car, so it makes sense that on track and as a daily, it would score the same. For coolness factor, this is obviously subjective, but I would give it a score of 6 out of 10. The car drives great, looks great, and the interior doesn't leave much to be desired. Overall, it's a solid car. This gives the Maserati Gran Turismo Trofeo a total of 16 out of 40 CarCave credits. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. A big thank you to Maserati Alfa Romeo and Anaheim Hills for loaning me this Gran Turismo Trofeo to do a video for you guys. So I'll leave the regular links in the description below for you to check them out. Also, leave me a comment with your thoughts on this new car. Do you like it? Do you not? Let us know why. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss a post. But until the next video, thanks again for watching and take care.